the gold side, and on our own, we were in conjunction with MIT and New Hampshire University and NOAA, seeing, for pollution control, working with the marinas and stuff to bring them up to speed on what they were allowed to dump in the water and everything. Off the coast of Massachusetts now, it's all a no dump zone, so if you have any porta potties or built-in tanks in your boats, better go to a pump out station. But we've carried that over since we left the auxiliary. We've carried that over. We got involved in the Clean Lakes Committee, and we're enjoying it.
Outstanding.
So I act as secretary at the moment, but outside of
Does a
that,
great job.
Very good.
have any other questions, I'd be glad to answer them.
Mr. Knox?
No question, just happy that you both want to serve.
Okay.
Likewise, when I see invasive species prevention, that's so important to our lakes. I think that's great.
Yeah.
Fantastic.
Mr. Will?
No questions, thank you, though.
Yeah, thank you. Great serving.
Yeah, I guess I'll echo what the board says, too. We appreciate anybody that volunteers. We really do. It makes the town a better place to live, that's for sure. I don't see Mr. Barisano or,
Well, I know Jim was
Leon.
unavoidably out of town tonight, so he couldn't be here.
okay,
But he had made it known that he wouldn't be.
okay, very good. Okay, board members, I'd look for a motion.
Move that the Board of Selectmen vote to appoint Charles Bush, Leon Weaver, Cheryl James, James Barisano to the Clean Lakes Committee for a term expiring June 30th, 2018.
Second.
Been moved and seconded. All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Thank you very much.
Thank
I
you.
appreciate your time.
Thank you.
See you later. All right, Community Preservation Committee. We have one member for the term expiring 6/30/2017. We have 3 applicants. Carolyn Mueller, Samuel Bell, and Elliot Putnam. You want to come up? That would be appreciated. Carolyn, we'll start with you.
Well, I've been following the CPC for a few years now, gone to a majority of the meetings, so I feel like I kind of have the flow of what they're trying to do now, and kind of sort of starting to understand the blended fund process as well, which is kind of the new thing on the CPC. And I know that right now they're starting the policies, trying to develop policies that we all felt kind of was needed on how they're going to look at projects and look at applications. So I've kind of been involved in some of those processes. So I know the philosophy that they're trying to get to and where they're going with that. And also I have some financial background. I'm not an accountant, but they have, the spreadsheets that Keith and Bonnie prepare. I know sometimes those are stumbling blocks, but it's kind of, the kind of thing I do, so I can understand those and probably contribute questions for that.
Okay. Mr. Knox?
Well, just one thing, Carolyn. In the past year or so, I think the CPC went through almost all their funds in one year. What are your thoughts on how the money should be spent, or should we leave some there? And
Yeah, I was part of the chorus that was a little upset when the way things had gone. So that's part of what they're doing the policies for. I think to try to create a savings plan so that we don't spend down to zero and then have another project come up that's worthy of funds. And with the blended fund process now, I think a lot of the large, especially town entity projects, will end up going through more of the blended fund process and free up some of the 1% of the pot for some of the smaller projects.
thank you.
No, for me, I'm familiar with Carolyn. She obviously has a grasp on the hot topics. Good.
Mr. Miller?
No, I too know Carolyn, and you asked a question about the money, so thank you.
Mr.
That's
DeCoste?
the only question I had as well.
Okay.
Thanks a lot, Joe.
I can do it first.
And I am also too, Carolyn. Elliot? Sam, sorry.
I'm serving on the Open Space Committee with Andrew Samarco, so I've been working on that aspect of putting that together to make help the town become eligible for grants. And when I heard the CPC needed a additional member, I thought I could transfer some of that over. I'm also on the Inland Conservation Trust, so I felt I could help evenly distribute funds to suitable projects through the CPC formulas, which not quite as up to date as Carolyn, but I got a good understanding of the 1% and the 2% and 3% and how that's going to work.
Okay.
I thought I could add a body to the committee and.
We appreciate that. Trust me, when we see these vacancies come in, we go, let's hope somebody does apply. So I know I speak for the board when we say thank you. They're even applying. Mr. Knox?
It's just the same question I asked Carol.
I do understand the 1% and the 3% project projections, and I would agree with Carolyn that it may be that sometimes you could distribute all the money, but I would tend to hold back some of it, not go and distribute it right away if other projects came in, or wait till all the projects come in, analyze them, and then distribute the money as the committee felt.
Thank you.
Selectman Hebert?
I can't think of any questions at the moment. So you're on the Open Space Committee currently, and
Yes.
the Conservation Trust as well?
Yes.
So, okay, no.
Ms. Pravilla?
If I'm reading this right, we only have one to appoint.
Not correct.
Three folks have come forward. There's going to be choices. That said, would you be interested in the Historical Commission, should we not appoint you to the CPC?
I did hear some other openings that might be of interest. The Historical Commission, not at the moment, thank you.
Thank you.
Put him on the spot.
Councilman
But I am interested
We have a
in the
long
history of the
list.
town.
Yeah.
I like history.
I have no questions. Again, I appreciate anybody stepping up to volunteer their time for the town, and, that, again, it makes the town a better place. That being said, members, would we like to discuss anything about these applicants? Feelings? Nominations?
I'll just make a comment. I believe Mr. Putnam had served on the CPC.
He serves on it now. Elliot is a member of the CPC now. However, his position is the one that gets eliminated in favor of an appointment by the Finance Committee. So in fact, the vacancy that's being filled right now is the remainder of the term for Jeff Feehan. And if Jeff were still on the board, there would not be a vacancy that we'd be interviewing, and that the term that expired, the at-large appointment that expires June 30, 2015, which happens to be Elliott's term, that one ceases to be a selectman's appointment and becomes a Finance Committee member.
Okay.
Ironically, it was, Elliott was first appointed to the CPC when he was on the Finance Committee as a measure of trying to provide some link between those two boards. But he, at some point, he was no longer on FinCom, but he continued to serve on CPC. But FinCom will be making their own 3-year appointment to that position now.
Do we have a recommendation from CPC?
I think we do,
Yes.
yeah.
There was a vote taken at their last meeting to appoint Carolyn, or to make the recommendation for you to appoint Carolyn, excuse me.
Yeah, I would say, based on their recommendation, they're the working body. I just wanted clarification relative to Elliot. Based on the recommendation, I'd be comfortable with that nomination.
Any other comments?
No, we have 2 good candidates and
There is another appointment.
3 good.
There is another appointment for the Finance Board, right, to make.
Yeah, that's one of the.
Yeah, but one of its own members.
One of its own
They will be
members.
appointing a Finance Committee member.
All right,
Yeah.
so it's not that much.
All right, so hearing no other comments, I'd look for a nomination and a motion.
Move the Board of Selectmen vote to appoint Carolyn Mueller to the CPC for a term expiring June 30th, 2018.
17,
17, sorry.
because it's a
2
2-year.
years.
Second.
It's been moved and seconded. All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Mr. Bell,
Thank you.
please.
I'll look at some others.
Any others?
Yeah.
Please. Please, we'll be more than happy to have your input on some other committees.
Thank you both.
We appreciate it. Thank you.
Thank you.
Okay, our next board is the Historical Commission. We have 3 members with a term expiring June 30th, 2018. And we have one application, Mr. Andrew Watt.
I did send out an email, there was one late submittal that
Okay.
came in today under the
Sure.
wire, so.
Come on in. So we have 2 applications. Diane Decker and Mr. Watt. Mr. Watt? How are you today?
Good.
So we are put in for the Historical Commission, and why don't you tell us a little bit about yourself and how long you've served? And
Sure. I've been on the commission now for 3 years, I believe. I picked up someone who had resigned, and then I just completed 1 full term. I'm interested in the commission because I think it's really important to preserve our history and our heritage. I think that it's particularly important now with so much development that's going on in our town to not lose sight that, we are predominantly an agricultural town, and we have, solid roots. So I'm really excited to apply for another term. There's a lot going on with the commission, as you know. We're working on the Long Store feasibility project, and we hope to reassemble the structure. We're also looking at the center of town and how we can sort of preserve its heritage, and several other projects, the gravestones and the old cemetery, etc. So
Outstanding.
I'm hoping to serve another term.
Fantastic. Board members, Mr. Knox.
Actually, no. I've met him in the past and have been with one of their meetings, and thank you for all the work you've been doing.
How long have you been a resident?
I've been a resident for 5 years. I think 5 years, yeah, 5 years.
That's great. I think you sound really passionate about this, so we're lucky to have you.
Mr. Ravel.
Nothing, thank you.
I just have a point of clarification. So Mr. Watt is currently sitting on there, but
Right.
so his term expired, but so this would be a reappointment for him, and then we have a vacancy.
Correct.
So Ms. Decker could potentially, we've got 2 candidates with 2 openings, am I correct?
2 candidates for 3 openings.
Yeah, 3 openings.
3 openings.
Oh, for the expired term, okay, 2 expired terms. Gotcha. Roddy? I have no questions, thank you for serving.
I just have a comment, going through the 300th celebration last year, I know you guys did a bunch of work. I bought the book, and you did a fantastic job, so I want to commend the commission for that.
I was going to say, it's not all just the commission, there's also the Historic Society too,
Sure.
so don't lose sight of that, please. They've done a lot of work as well.
Sure. All right. Is Diane here? Diane? No? Okay.
I saw that Mr. John Ledger gave her a recommendation, and he certainly has my trust, so that's a positive.
Okay. Any other comments from the board?
No, sir.
All right, I'd look for a motion.
Move that the Board of Selectmen vote to appoint Andrew Watt and Diane Decker to the Historical Commission for a term expiring June 30th, 2018. 18.
Second. Been moved and seconded. All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Thank you very much.
Thanks.
We appreciate your support. All right, the Personnel Board. Personnel Board has 1 member of the Board of Selectmen and 2 citizen members, 1 term expiring 6/30/2017, the other a human resource professional for a term expiring 6/30/2018. We have two individuals, Anita Harding and William Schmidt. How's retirement, Anita?
Retirement's pretty good, actually.
Good for you.
Yeah.
Very jealous.
After 30 years, it's pretty good.
Would you notice that the town hall's a lot quieter now?
Hey. Everybody's going to be sorry you said that. I'll have to come back. You stopped coming, that's why it got so quiet.
Yeah, oh, it has to do with computers, right?
It certainly does.
So Anita, why don't you start off?
Well, as an employee of the town, in 2006, I was one of the people who penned the bylaw that was effectively accepted at town meeting. And with the personnel board being initiated, we worked really hard at trying to make Littleton a good place to want to work and friendly for the employees. We have created a new sick leave policy that is now being used across the town. It was quite a bit of work to get it done, but I think it's a solid one. We've created a hiring policy, and we've created an employee evaluation process. I think the employees feel like they have a place to go and to be heard. And I think overall, the town is better for having the personnel board and all the things that they have done so far. And I can no longer be an employee representative, but I would like to continue my work on the board as a citizen representative and see what I can do to keep things the way they've been. So I hope that you consider me.
Okay. Board members, Mr. Knox.
No, all joking aside, I know Anita for a long time and how hard she works, and I'm certainly happy that she has stepped up to the plate for this, and I want to thank you for that. I don't have any specific questions as far as, I mean, she helped pen the thing. I'm not going to have any questions about it.
Likewise, you're lucky.
All right, Mr. Riddle.
No, there was a lot of good work to get us here, so thank you for that.
Well, it took a lot of people to do it. It was the townspeople, it was the citizen, it was the employees, and it was the board. And I'm very passionate about it, and I hope I can continue.
What are some of our immediate challenges though, when it comes to personnel and staffing? Do you see any?
Right now, it's really pretty good. We're in a good place. We hope that we have some job descriptions to review and to rate and everything, but we're in good shape. The evaluation process for the employees every year works very well. The hiring policy has worked the last few times. I know Bonnie's used it several times, and it's worked well. And it's good to have something in place like that, that when you set out, you know, one of the big things we would like to try to do is to hire within and to move people up in a rank. And so we are working on that, to try to educate people that are in departments, to give them more education so that when a position opens up in a department, they can kind of step right into it.
Oh, thank you. And certainly the package that you're describing that you all put together, when we review, and it's brought in front of the Board of Selectmen, folks that the department head wants to hire, I mean, the package is absolutely comprehensive. It's exhaustively comprehensive.
But there's also a sheet that you can follow along the way, so, and we're always available to help.
Thank you.
Mrs. Akos.
I have a question relative to, since you took an active role in helping to pen the personnel bylaw, how comfortable are you writing or reviewing job descriptions?
We had a firm come in and review the job descriptions. We hired someone to do that. They kind of ranked them, you know, where they should be in the grades, and then we review them as they come forward. We have two people on the board. I'm not one of them that does the ratings. I never had that opportunity.
He doesn't want to be one either, because Chuck is on the.
I know he is.
Yes, there's a reason why he's asking the question.
as a co-member, you don't want
There's
that.
a reason why the question's being asked.
Yeah, I'm sure, but,
Hush, would you? There's a code up here, isn't there?
I knew that. No, that's a position that I wasn't asked to do, and I was quite happy that I didn't have to do that. Serve in another way is better.
Thank you for your
I
honesty.
just hope that I can fill Don Smith's shoes,
Yeah.
because he was very, very good at what he did, and I hope I can fill his shoes.
Thank you.
Anything else, Chuck? Well, I know,
I'm sure if I come up with something else, he's gonna sell me out, so I'll keep it at that.
Thanks, Keith.
I know the time I've been on this board, I have represented the board for union negotiations and contract negotiations. So I can speak firsthand that, you know, the personnel board helping us through that is very, very helpful during those processes, so.
And it's good to see that the non-union and the union people are more cohesive now than, you know,
Right.
it's a good thing.
It is a
For
good
the-
thing.
It's a good thing for the employees, and it's a good thing for Littleton.
All right, any other questions for Anita? Mr. Schmidt?
Well, I've known Anita for a long time. We were commissioners in town here way back when,
Long time ago.
long time ago. But I've been a human resource professional for 30-some-odd years, vice president of my own company until we kind of dissolved it, where we did job evaluation, compensation studies, employee relations, contract negotiations, for primarily government, federal government, state government, municipal government. I'm a former director of personnel, town of Arlington, where I was also chairman of the personnel board. City of Newton, I put in their job evaluation program, job descriptions, their compensation program. Town of Waterford, town of Waterbury, both in Connecticut, I've also been involved there. I was actively involved with Don Marquis, who at the time was the longest-serving town manager in the Commonwealth. I got a very good education with him in contract negotiations. It was really easy working with him on that. So I think my background in human resources, both in the federal agencies, being also a former Commonwealth of Massachusetts employee, I guess technically I'm maybe a employee of the town of Acton as a substitute teacher right now. So I'm quasi-retired.
Busy guy. Mr. Knox?
Actually, I don't have any questions, but Schmidt, he's obviously seems to have all the qualifications that we'd be looking for this position.
I agree, and Keith, maybe no question, but maybe a question for you. Mr. Schmidt would fill the human resources professional category. Okay, got it.
Yep.
Great.
Mr. Ravello?
Just the same question. Do you see challenges for us here in town when it comes to personnel and staffing?
Yes and no. It's a reserved answer. I know that outside consultants came in and did rank evaluations. Through my experience, there has to be some type of evaluation system, whether it be a point factor or factor comparison, so that you can actually pick out integral parts of a position, requirements of the job, education, the knowledge required, the communications required, supervisory responsibilities. If you have something like that, it's defendable. If you don't have that, you can say, okay, well, this job should be here. And I'm not saying they used a dartboard, but unless they have something really firm like that, it's something that I think should be needed. In other words, I think they have something, but I'm not sure exactly what it is.
Go ahead, Anita.
And she can answer that
Could I
question.
speak to that?
Sure, go ahead.
We have the people who do the ranking, we have a full book, it's about that thick, and it ranks by all of the categories that he just mentioned. And it gives you, I'm not sure of the numbers, how high up they go, I think it's 1 through 5, that you're ranked up, either in each thing that he talked about is ranked separately. And when a job description comes before us, a new one, or even an old one, that same thing is done with them, but by 2 separate people. They don't communicate with each other, they do their own evaluation. Then they bring your evaluation to the board, and the board listens to what they have to say and reviews it before any decisions are made. And sometimes they change things, sometimes they don't.
Okay.
And just part of that, the manual that is used by the Personnel Board to rate a job description is the same manual that our consultant used to rate all of the job descriptions. So the system that was in place to do the study is maintained by, in any time there's an amended job description, by applying the same standards. So, and that's why we're looking for, a skilled professional to be able to help with those updated ratings. So.
Great, thank you.
Chuck?
I think that just answered my question.
Okay. Well, prior to moving on to a vote, I want to recognize Joe Gaffney. The vacancy that Bill is putting in for the vacancy is caused by Joe stepping down from the Personnel Board. Joe, on behalf of the board and the town, I want to say thank you for the work that you've done on the Personnel Board. I know we've worked close together, and I know I appreciate everything you've done. So thanks again, and I'm sure Bill will fill in.
Try.
Try to fill in those big shoes. So thanks again, Joe. Appreciate all your work and your service. Anything else, board members? I would look for a motion.
Move the Board of Selectmen vote to appoint Anita Harding and William Schmidt to the Personnel Board for terms expiring June 30th, 2017 and June 30th, 2018, respectively.
Second.
So moved and seconded. All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Thank you very much, and thank you for stepping up.
Congratulations to both. See you, we have a meeting Wednesday morning at 8:30.
Wednesday morning at 8:30.
No
In
time
this
for
room.
worry.
And apparently the new kid has to bring the coffee.
You're the new kid?
I've already been to a meeting.
He's already been to one.
Oh, all right, you have to bring the coffee. I've been there 4 years. So there is a meeting on Wednesday, not
Yeah.
Thursday?
Yeah.
Wednesday, okay.
Yeah.
Be there.
Thank you very much.
Thanks very
Thank
much.
you.
Thank you.
Thank you very much.
All right,
to see
last but
Diane,
not
right?
least,
Keith.
Yeah, we'll have Diane come in and swear him in. To start the meeting off.
Zoning Board of Appeals. We have one member with the term expiration of 6/30/2018. We have Cheryl Hollinger reapplying. She is also already a member of the Zoning Board of Appeals, so, and I don't see Cheryl here. Board members, discussion, comments?
No, I know Cheryl for some years now, and she's, as you said, has been on the ZBA.
And the zoning board did vote to recommend her reappointment.
I'm sorry, Jen?
The zoning board did vote to recommend her reappointment.
All right, and then hearing no other comments, I'd look for a motion.
Move the Board of Selectmen vote to appoint Cheryl Hollinger to the Zoning Board of Appeals for a term expiring June 30th, 2018.
Second.
Now move the second, all those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Thank you. All right, 4A, goal setting for fiscal year 2016.
Public input
Oh, I'm sorry, yes, public input.
and members.
Sorry about that. All right, public input.
Rick Finley, Beaverbrook Road. At the end of the last selectmen's meeting, I brought up some management problems with Nagog Hill Orchard, and Mr. Knox asked me to submit a proposal as quickly as possible so we could act on it before the contract was actually signed. And I did submit something, and I was just wondering if you could give me some insight into what your thoughts are on it. I tried to contact the water department, which was one of my first responses from Keith was to get an approval from Alan, who I've been dealing with for 3 years, and he's throwing out the same sort of stuff, and I'm doing my best to educate him. But I'd just like to take this opportunity to ask you how you feel about cleaning up that area, and any questions, answers I can give you, I'd be happy to.
All right. Real quick, go ahead.
If I may. I'm kind of excited about what you proposed. What I want to do is take a ride down there and see, because I don't know.
I'd love it.
I don't, I drove by once and still don't know exactly what the spot you're talking about. But that would be the only thing that I think it is Littleton's property, and I think it's, judging by what you said and the vistas that could be seen there, I have no problems with it at all.
So I can keep it.
I agree. Joe, it's been on my list to get down there, really look at it.
You know, when you were last here, my question was about access to the water itself, physical
Right.
access.
Right.
And we got some comments there, and certainly the response from Concord
Oh,
was very vehement about that piece of it.
sure.
So imagine we can take precautions of some sort.
Oh, absolutely. They'll be much better protected with people looking at it than the way it is now. It's totally overgrown, and fishermen get in there and sneak around. It'll be very easy. There's a monitor, a steward who's willing to monitor it, who can actually scope it from his living room, the person who bought the Morrison farm.
Oh.
So they'll get much better maintenance in terms of people, and certainly we can come up with something to do with the geese,
Yeah.
either coming up with
And I drive by that pond every single day. There's geese and ducks all over the place.
Yeah,
So I
they're
don't
all
know
over.
how many more are going to show up.
There haven't been any on our 10 acres or, I don't know, 200 feet of whatever it is, for 10 years, and it's just been getting worse and worse for them. So our input is really not that big to begin with.
And certainly my observation, physically of the property, like Rick has said, there's no impact to apples, to the orchard. It sounds like a very quaint and
The only issue
desirable.
the only possible issue is water access. And I think that was really the leverage that the water department had dealing with Charles in the beginning. And if we have to dig a well, I'm not gonna, won't use the word, but it was a sort of leverage that wasn't really fair, and I don't think it's fair to the town of Littleton. I think this should be conservation land with trails through it, picnic tables, and people should be able to enjoy it.
Here's my only thought. We're looking at a one-year extension at this point,
Mhm.
right?
It's already done.
Yeah, and it's important enough that for a very good, detailed, long-range plan, support everything you want to do, but as you say, as far as this moment right now, on June 22nd, for a June 30th expiration, it would seem we've missed the ship this time.
I'm not sure Charles wouldn't be amenable to this, because he doesn't really want to take care of it either. I think he was happy to tell the water department, oh yeah, I won't mow it anymore.
I don't know the answer
I'm
to
not
that
sure.
from that way.
I do.
But as far as, well, and let us give more information, but as far as the concept and going forward and developing a plan that addresses this is worthwhile at the very least.
I agree.
All right, so I have a
Can I
few.
say one thing?
Sure.
What may be manageable this year, maybe $50,000 next year. Unfortunately, the growth of the invasive plants in there, it grows very, very fast. And what may be done with volunteers may have to be done
May I ask
professionally.
one more question?
Go ahead.
Sure.
Cloverdale
Yeah.
has been
Same
a
idea.
project for you, and the money became an issue there too.
Yeah.
Do we risk overextending ourselves and taking too many bites, sorry for the pun, but too many bites of the apple?
Well, I'm saying let's not do that. Let's try to do it with volunteers this year and not adding another year to it, because the stuff just keeps growing.
Copy, thank you.
So I got two issues. First, last time you kept saying the degradation of the property. It's not, it's going back to its natural state.
No, it's
There
not.
is there is no degradation to the property. Number two, you just said the issue, the management of the orchard. There is nothing wrong with the management of the orchard. It's a pristine orchard. I've spent a lot of time up there. I have talked with both Alan from the Concord Water and Charles Auger from the orchard. And so there's obviously Concord is more concerned about the drinking water, and 10 acres of a field, a lot of geese. They've seen a less geese droppings and contamination with that going back to its natural state. And Mr. Auger said, his main concern is people. A lot of people being down there. So Rick had said that they both agreed at our last meeting. I didn't get that vibe at all from either one of them. So I would be okay with putting a nice proposal together for this board to review. As I stated earlier, the contract has been signed, voted on and signed for the extension. That gives you ample time to put a nice presentation together to this board so we can make a educated and good decision.
That being said, having kind of paid my way through college landscaping, the best time to do the landscaping is before the growth in the spring, or, you know, when it dies back in the fall. So now's not really the right time to be doing it anyway. So if you're looking to maintain it, really the fall is the best time to be pruning and cutting back, and especially if you're using volunteers, because they'll appreciate the lack of foliage.
Sure.
And
And I did go up there, I did see the property. And it's a lot of work, because Charles did keep it up for many years, and it's just a lot of work. It's a big piece of property.
Yeah.
Take 10 acres, take care of it. It's not an easy thing to do, so. Rick, I think you've got the board's attention. If you can get a presentation together for us, you've heard a majority of the board say they're willing to take a look at it, and we'll take it from there.
Are we talking about a year, or are we talking, can we break this lease?
No.
For just this?
I mean, that's my personal opinion. We've signed the lease. This board has voted on it. This board has executed the lease. I don't see there's any detriment to, personally talking, I don't see there's any detriment to the orchard itself right now. There's no reason to break the lease.
Right.
We're in the process right now of developing an RFP for that property. The sooner you get something to us, maybe we can incorporate something to that in the RFP, but I see no need to break the lease.
Can we just quickly address the studio, Littleton Community Studios, Art Studios?
Once again, it's part of the lease, and personally, I don't see any need to address something that's already been voted on and signed off. So, you've heard the board, they want to listen to you. Please get something to us, and we'll definitely take a look.
Sorry, I'm very
Okay.
disappointed that you couldn't act this year, because I think it's going to be much more difficult next year, and I think the advantage of the studios this year may help us out with some projects on Fort Pond with studios there. I'm sorry.
Okay?
Thank you.
I would
Thank
offer
you.
this, I don't think it's a dead issue, Rick.
No.
Rick, I would offer this. As Jim has said, you know, we're talking, there's nothing on paper, so we can check across,
Yep.
and then actually people can, you know, modify as necessary. So I think Jim's actually giving you the good option, I would offer it, and that you come forward, it's an agenda item rather than just open session,
No,
so
I-
that can be very
I-
well addressed.
I will have Conservation Commission come in and represent the environmental issues, and I'll have somebody who's interested in the studios come in and present their things. I will probably stay out of it, though I'll probably be out there as the steward doing the work, but you'll get your proposals over the course of the next year.
Thank you.
And do appreciate your passion for this, really do, Rick, thank you.
Any other public input? All right, member updates. Chuck?
Oh, now you're starting with me?
Oh, yeah.
Actually, just one thing that I would like to say to all of us, to do any kind of presentations or anything, when we speak, we tend to speak in a language that not everybody understands. And, you know, MAPC and MAGIC and a lot of acronyms and abbreviations, and I would just caution all of us that when we do something like that, the first reference, maybe just spell it out so that the audience understands what we're talking about.
Gotcha. Remind us.
BOS Board of Selectmen.
I knew what the B and the S stood for.
Mr. Avella?
Two terrific events, so opportunities, exciting opportunities this past weekend for me personally. Spent the weekend in Kansas City, seeing the Red Sox win 2 out of 3. Extraordinary. And yesterday's game certainly was wonderful. And the next thing, we landed at Logan at 4:10 this afternoon. I was back in the house at 5:50. I found that extraordinary.
Wow.
So, but it was good seeing the
I think
Sox
you
play.
can do it at 5 a.m.
I would never have guessed it.
5 p.m. Wow.
If I told you I thought it'd be late tonight.
Selectman Huber.
Let's see, was that last Tuesday, I think, was it probably Keith? There was a forum, open space and recreation.
Wednesday, yeah.
Wednesday? Last Wednesday, an open forum on open space and recreation needs in Littleton. I think the folks that came out, saw Joe there, saw various members there. The folks that came out had a really, a lot to say, a lot of good input. But it was duly noted that there weren't a lot of people there. So I know that there'll be another future opportunity to provide input into our open space and recreation needs, and I just encourage folks to, come down to that and represent, how you feel. For example, I remember the facilitator mentioned, no one said anything about the playground. So, not everything was represented, but it was a good forum, it was a great, great session, but I'd say next time around, let's try to get more folks out. And even if you can't make it, provide input to, someone that will be there, like a selectman or something like that, so we can represent how you feel. That's it.
Mr. Knox?
Just to piggyback on what Melissa said, it was important, because it seems like during the whole year, you have a lot of people come and speak to you about recreational needs. And when it comes time, that you hope they show up at a meeting, because they're so into it, and then they're not there. So hopefully we do have a larger attendance, although it was more than some of the other meetings I've been at, so there was encouragement there. Once again, I want to thank Mr. God for all the years that he put on the Historical Society. And once again, third Thursday went off this year, the first one of the year. Went off really well. We didn't have as many vendors as was had in the past, but the crowd was just as intense as it had been in the past. So I was glad to see that the tradition is moving on, and thank the Park and Rec for the work that they do to make that all happen.
All right, thank you.
Mr. Chairman, if I could just
Go ahead.
add one last thing.
Absolutely.
Just- Joe mentioned third Thursday, and I wanted to get there, but I had the middle school moving up ceremony or graduation. So I just want to congratulate all the eighth graders for moving up to the high, to wherever they're going next year in the eighth grade. And also just recognize, you mentioned Ron Goddard gave many years, Bev Sherman, language teacher at the middle school. I think everybody can probably say they've had her.
Taught me French.
But just a shout out to her, because she's retiring this year after early years. And she's, the kids love her, and she really served the town well. So just didn't want to get water.
I just have one thing. There's been a lot of talk in town, and I've got calls and emails about the Cooper property. There has not been a bona fide purchase and sales for this property yet. So the town 61A hasn't kicked in, so there is no, we're not up against the wall in regards to that. We are going to have a public hearing on July 13th, so I encourage all those interested parties, show up, let your voice be heard. And then we will move forward after that public hearing. So there is no bona fide purchase and sales agreement. The property is still in 61A, so that's all I have.
And that 120-day clock that
Correct.
people are concerned about is not
It is,
ticking. It is not
it
ticking.
is not ticking, exactly.
Mr. Chairman?
Yes.
To talk about that piece of property also, that meeting that we went to, Melissa, that probably the one property that was talked about the most by all different people, whether it's they want paths or playing fields or whatever it was, that preserve part of the front, keep it open space. The list on that thing was all the different ideas that the town could use in that land, so I know there's a tremendous amount of interest in that piece of property.
Yeah, so July 13th. All right, anything else? All right, let's
Just
move on.
excuse myself 1 second.
Yep.
I'll be right back.
Yep. Goal setting for FY16, preliminary goal setting. So, Mr. Bergman has put in our package last year's goals and a list of ideas that we've had previously. So, at this point, I'd open it up to the board as far as suggestions. Previously, would get a list to Mr. Bergman, and he'd get it all together and put it together, so.
I had PJ's list this year of goals. but
Sorry about that.
We put it,
Rookie, didn't know the process.
Yeah.
How long can I use that?
It's done, you're over.
tonight,
It's
yeah,
all- It's all done.
7:30.
So,
You could approach it a couple of ways, actually, that if you would, I'll just remind the board that the public hearing on adopting goals occurred, I think, on August 11th last year. So that, and sometimes we have this process, we will have this on the agenda several times before you actually do your preliminary goal setting, and then have your public hearing afterwards. Given what our schedule is looking like now, that the very next meeting, the 13th of July is going to be very busy. It's, as the chair said, it's the public hearing on Cooper Farm. You've got a joint meeting with the school committee to fill a vacancy. We will have a liquor license hearing on Act 3, looking to expand their premises to conform with the recent planning board decision. And so it may be a busy night with other things, so your next regular meeting after that is in late July.
So
So-
what we can, as a board, we can decide maybe have a interim meeting and just have this done at the meeting for an hour or so. You know, come in and hammer it
We've done
out.
that as well. In fact,
Yeah.
we've had a one-item agenda a couple of times
So-
where you just do this and focus just on that at a meeting, so.
I like the idea of brainstorming,
Yep.
collaboratively hashing stuff out and throwing it out there and
Yep.
And you do this
saying,
one
no,
requires a
that's
bit of
stupid. and-
time,
Sure.
discussion, thought.
So that being said, I mean, the 13th is going to be a busy meeting, and I really don't want
Yeah.
to see anything else added on to
No,
that, so.
I agree.
What do you,
Do the 20th.
how do you feel about adding another meeting? Which would
What
be,
about the
what, the
20th?
20th?
Did we
If we do it before, if we do it the 6th of July, I can guarantee that everyone's going to,
Yeah, I'm on
The-
vacation.
Yeah, I'm not there.
Yeah.
I'm on vacation. And then the 20th,
That's okay.
Selectman Hebert.
I'll come in, I'm not going anywhere, I just
Okay,
wanted to be
so, we'll wait for Mr. Knox, but majority rules in my eyes. How do we feel about the 20th for a preliminary goal-setting meeting?
Let's go for it.
Yeah?
I will be in Kansas.
All right, how
Why don't you
about
pick a date
the
that you can be here?
week of the 13th then? Is there anything in the week of the 13th?
15th?
I mean, it doesn't have to be a Monday night.
doesn't have to be a Monday, no, sure doesn't.
We have master plan on the 14th, so Wednesday? I have a Rotary thing on the 16th and then
The 15th, I could do, I'm in town.
15th?
That Thursday's third Thursday.
Right.
So Wednesday would seem really late that week.
Are you good the 15th?
Wednesday, the 15th,
Wednesday the 15th,
at 6:30?
6:30. That'll be a one-agenda meeting, preliminary goal settings.
You got the action item?
So, Mr. Knox?
Thanks for volunteering, Joe.
Yeah, thank you.
I made the motion.
Good work.
So as far as the goal setting, Joe, we kind of decided we need a separate meeting. The 13th is going to be a very busy meeting, so we'd like to set a 15th, Wednesday the 15th, for just a one agenda item, goal setting, preliminary goal setting meeting. Get our information into Keith prior to that on the, it would have to be on that Friday, right? Because you got to
Well,
post
you
it
could,
on
well,
Thursday.
you could even do it on, if you did it by the 13th,
Yeah,
we'll be meeting on the 13th.
right.
It
So-
wouldn't be the worst thing if I was reminding you on the 13th to get it in.
Yeah, right, so.
Which is done in the past.
Yeah, and then
So if we can get our goals into Keith on by the 13th, that would be,
Yeah, I have 52 of them written.
yeah, perfect. And then we'll sit down on the 15th, we'll do our preliminary,
Per week.
and then we'll go into our public hearing. All set? Board members, any questions, problems, issues? 15th it is, thank you.
great, thank you.
All right, next agenda item is Selectmen's Regulations and Policies, 4B. Conduct an annual review. During this process, we had, and tonight I think we can talk about the amendments, which consist of increasing the bid from 25 to 35, removing, which is a Mass General Law as amended, removing the 10-year minimum service requirement of the retiree group health, Supreme Court Justice ruling for Irving, develop a sign over the public ways on public property, approval events on public ways, including road closures, develop, and I think some of that is already in a policy somewhere, that sign piece.
It's actually not.
It isn't?
No, that we have an informal practice.
Oh, okay.
which is sort of what the problem has been, that
All right.
we may want to just adopt some policy.
And then there's been a lot of talk in the state about public access to records. We don't have a policy on that right now.
No.
We kind of just, if somebody says it, we do it, and whether our resources are being used or not, it doesn't matter, we just do it. So a policy on public records request, adopt a social media policy, was requested by the IT director, and develop a policy and procedure on adopting Board of Selectmen's position on proposed legislation, including procedure for time-sensitive materials. So, nothing
Yeah,
huge.
and this is sort of a list that was generated either by staff or that members have brought up either at prior meetings or in separate communications. And in some of those cases, we've done research, we've looked at other policies, say in some cases in other communities. Some of these items we have not yet done research on, but they're on the list of things to do. For example, the procurement change, increasing the bid threshold, that we have a policy document that would be suitable for the board to, introduce at this meeting and adopt at a future meeting. We have a draft policy on removing the 10-year minimum service requirement for retiree group health. That frankly we need to change our policy to conform with what the state Supreme Judicial Court has ruled. We have a policy that says that requires 10-year service to qualify. The state struck that down, so we would need to amend our policy.
So what I'd like to do, I think, is, those ones that are easy, the two that you just mentioned, Keith, I think we can act upon tonight. But what I've asked those members that brought up these policies, maybe develop or sit down with Keith or a department head that's under the preview of the said policy, develop something, bring it back to us so we can all read it and amend it, adopt it, or see what we all think about it. So, that being said, Mr. Knox was the one that brought up the sign issue. I brought up the public records. Adopt an IT policy.
I would like to take that.
I was just going to ask if
Thank
you would
you.
like to do that. And develop a policy procedure on positions proposals. Mr. Avella brought that up, so why don't we individually go out, do our task, and then come back to the boards. It's our first meeting in August. Is that enough time for us, board members, to get that done? You'll be all set?
I can commit to that.
That's a rookie.
Well, you
right
haven't
there.
been assigned any.
Yeah, exactly. That's a rookie right here. Duly noted. Duly noted. So why don't we,
Is this what they did at the school committee?
Don't worry about it.
Okay.
so why don't we,
That means,
Never worry about
that means the
it.
four of us at this end actually had some ideas and
yeah,
things. and
absolutely. We actually interact with the citizens of the town.
We
so-
talked to them, we come back with some policy changes and
Good point, Mr.
I'll
Knox.
have it be on the 13th, Mr. Knox.
So why don't we do it the first week of our first meeting in August, Keith?
Okay.
Make it an agenda item, and I'd ask the members, do your due diligence and get back a policy. All right, so that being said, why don't we take a look at the increase in sealed bid threshold, 25 to 35? Want to walk us through that, Bonnie?
Sure. This basically is proposed to amend the bylaw just to mirror the changes in the state law under Chapter 30B for procurement. The state, I think a year and a half ago, increased the thresholds for bidding requirements from 25,000 to 35,000. And the minimum for getting quotes from 5,000 to 10,000. We have an internal policy that kind of defines it for the department so that they can go ahead and know what they can procure and how they have to follow the process. So it would just make it easier for the departments to get their business done. I will say that most of the departments, even for items under $5,000, do get 3 quotes. It would not eliminate that practice, it just eliminates the requirement to take this to a board meeting for approval in many cases.
Questions, board members?
Makes sense.
Okay. The next one is the removal of the 10-year minimum service requirement for retiree group health per the Supreme Court Justice decision in the Irving case. Mr. Bergman, you want to walk us through that one?
Yeah, this was drafted by Treasurer Steve Venuti. We took, what you have in your packet is the entire text of the policy. It's in tab B. That you have the entire text of the policy that the board adopted for group health and life insurance for active employees and retirees. Steve proposes changes in the section starting on page 2 of that policy pertaining to retired employees, and specifically it would strike the requirement for 10-year service with the town. This is the larger context is, and the law that the SJC, the Supreme Judicial Court, used its, cited its decision on, was that law that says that when, that other law that we are complying with and other towns are not, which says that when an employee retires from in your system and they have service with other municipalities, the place, the community where the employee retires is allowed to bill for a pro rata share for the other communities where they work. And the SJC used the fact of that statute to essentially say the law says how you handle it, and the law doesn't say there's a 10-year requirement for service, so therefore you can't have the 10-year requirement. I wish they had also said, and therefore you have to pay the bills that are sent to you by a community, because as we've talked about before, we pay all the bills that we receive from other communities, and we send bills to all the other communities that we're sharing, retirees, but we don't get those other communities to all to pay us an amount. But we do, that's a separate matter, I guess, that we'll continue to work on with the legislature, but.
All right, questions, board members? All right, I'd look for a motion on these two specific policy changes.
Just real quick, Jim.
Go ahead.
Any break in enrollment disqualifies the employee, though, right? So if they...
Well, if an employee is if an employee is working here and they retire, then this policy would say they are entitled to retire on our insurance program, and then the other law says that we would then bill them rather than having for them to be vested here in our system for 10 years.
Right.
If they qualify for.
So what you're saying, Chuck, is
retire.
if they drop their insurance and come back to us, so that had happened during the open enrollment process. So if somebody retires and doesn't have our insurance, they have the ability to come back during the open enrollment period to pick up our insurance.
And we're also saying that people could,
common sense and-
people
Right.
could position themselves to do that as well.
Right.
That if you're on the spouse's group insurance, but you're going to retire and you're going to get the town to pay it, then on your,
Right.
your last year of service,
Before you go out.
you join up on open enrollment.
So you can.
Not that we're giving advice to.
No, but.
Those watching
But
at
to
home.
answer your question, Chuck, I think that's what you were asking.
Pretty much, yeah.
Okay. I would look for a motion.
Move that the Board of Selectmen adopt the following two policies to their administrative policies and procedures.
We're going to, I'm sorry,
Okay.
because I didn't specify a proposed motion. Tonight, we're going to introduce those two policies and then for adoption at your next regular meeting.
Okay.
Because it's a two-step process. So tonight, you'll be introducing the first two bullets and
First reading on it next time.
for adoption at your next meeting. I'm sorry for not specifying.
So they can figure it out. That's all.
Acronyms.
Move that the Board of Selectmen vote to, what was the word?
Introduce.
Introduce the following two items for adoption, for the following two items for their administrative policies and procedures for adoption at our next meeting. Increase sealed bid threshold from $25,000 to $35,000 per Mass General Law Chapter 30B as amended, and remove 10-year minimum service requirement for retiree group health per SJC decision in Irving case, Spring Judicial Court.
Second.
So justice.
It's been moved and seconded. All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Thank you.
Thank you.
Okay, next agenda item 4C, management employment contracts. I usually bring this up, and for some reason this year I did not. Mr. Bergman brought it to my attention, and I said, let's get it on the agenda. The normal process is we go through our negotiation phase of all the contracts for a town, and then we come back and take a look at the salary structure for, the salary grids for all our contracts. They're grid just like an employee, and the board votes to whether or not to give the same increase for the contract employees on their salary grids as the other town departments and non-union personnel. Bonnie, did I leave anything out?
That's pretty much it. This
Yeah.
just mirrors the grid that was adopted at the
Yeah.
time.
Because the board's not being asked to change the terms or any of the conditions of
Correct.
the existing contracts, but since the dollar figures in all the existing contracts are based on a particular grade and step equivalent, since town meeting amended the grade and step numbers, that we wanted to give the opportunity to have these contracts.
And they were budgeted as part of the town meeting.
So essentially what we're saying is for the next 3 years, 2, 2, and 2. That's what the town voted on for all the contract and non-contract employees.
Yeah. And in fact, procedurally,
With the
though.
exception of the PD, we're not
Yeah,
done with the PD.
procedurally, what we're looking at is to have the board simply adopt the fiscal 2016 numbers this year, because that's all that was adopted. Mechanically, what that would mean, though, is that if, when town meeting amends the salary schedule A next year to conform presumably with the union contracts, that there might be an agenda item just like this a year from now to change the dollar figures to conform with what's the then current schedule for non-union.
Board members, questions? Mr. Knox? Mr. Ravello?
I'm just making sure I'm reading the years correctly here. As I look at I'm just looking at the chief polices right now, as far as the amendment. Give me just one sec, please. I apologize for not
problem.
having this absolutely right. Because we're looking at the new schedule taking effect on this July 1st, right?
Yes.
Correct.
Okay, as to see how we're using commas in here rather than any semicolons. I'm okay, thank you.
Okay. Chuck?
I'm good, thanks.
All right. That being said, I'd look for a motion, please.
Move that the Board of Selectmen vote to authorize execution of amendments to management employee contracts with Police Chief Matthew King, Fire Chief Scott Wazinski, Deputy Police Chief Jeff Patterson, Deputy Fire Chief Tom Clancy, Assistant Town Administrator for Finance and Budget Bonnie Holston, and Town Administrator Keith Bergman, implementing May 4th, 2015 annual town meeting amendment to the classification and compensation plan at the equivalent grade and step dollar amounts, and referencing the updated sick and short and long-term disability policy.
Second.
It's been moved and seconded. All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you.
All right, moving on. 5A, Community Compact Cross-Town Connect. Keith, want to,
Yeah,
another
this-
application?
Another item that came in the mail, and I thought I'd put it as an agenda item rather than the mail packet, was a letter from the Lieutenant Governor, Karen Polito, which went to all cities and towns, inviting participation in the Baker Polito administration's Community Compact program. And when it came across, it just, I took a look at the description, which was a way to engage, for city or town or a group of communities to engage the administration on a best practice and sort of come to a mutual understanding of things that you would do locally to achieve the practice and things that the state would do to help you achieve it. And we had just received word at our last meeting that our Crosstown Connect Transportation Management Association was going to be recognized by the International City Management Association with a Local Government Excellence Award, that we realize there is a long list of things that our Crosstown Connect towns need to accomplish together so that we can have shuttle services going to the commuter rail stations, that we can address the so-called first mile, last mile, reverse commute issues that we've been about in working with many of our local businesses in the region and with our surrounding towns. As far as putting things on the administration's radar screen, we know we need additional parking at our Littleton MBTA commuter rail station. There is money that goes to existing transportation management associations, TMAs, that does not yet go to Crosstown Connect or Middlesex 3 or some of the newer TMAs. So we see a long list of things that we want to be able to do to engage the administration in a dialogue about what do we need to accomplish some of the things we're working on. So I reached out to our partners in the Crosstown Connect initiative, Acton, Boxborough, Maynard, and Westford, and they're all very interested in having our 5 towns submit a joint application to the administration under this program. And I actually had an opportunity last Friday morning with the 2 cabinet secretaries who I actually know, Jay Ash at Housing and Economic Development, and Stephanie Pollock at Transportation. We're part of a Meet the Cabinet group that was at a business association, the Mass Econ annual conference in Newton. And I had a chance to ask them at that meeting and have some discussions with them about whether the Community Compact Program would be appropriate for what we're trying to achieve with Crosstown Connect. And not only did they say that they thought Crosstown Connect would, or rather that the Community Compact would be a good way to get on the radar screen, both of them indicated a willingness to come out here and meet with our communities. Stephanie said that she's looking for a way to get out of the city. She's dealing with MBTA issues night and day, and the meeting may not be until the fall, but it's great to get on the radar screen, and we'll definitely be pursuing it. Jay Ash as well, who his predecessor, Greg Bielecki, was very kind to us. We got the MassWorks grant from Secretary Bielecki. We got $2 million for the MBTA parking spaces, and we're very needy. We need a lot, and we're worthy of what we need. So it'd be great for us to be able to get on the radar screen and to be able to pitch for what our folks need from the state government. So this looks like it's a way to get on the radar screen.
Sure. It's being recognized nationally, too, so. Questions, Mr. Knox? Selectman Heber?
Sounds like a great opportunity.
Mr. Ravello?
As it looks back to keep brilliant.
Yeah, nice job, thanks.
Thanks.
Yeah, and I too support it, having been involved with a couple of the meetings and then kind of dropped off, but they got something going on. It's real good. I'd look for a motion.
The Board of Selectmen vote to submit a joint application with the towns of Acton, Boxborough, Maynard, and Westford for a community compact with the Baker-Polito administration for the Crosstown Connect Transportation Management Association as a best practice for transportation.
Second.
Been moved and seconded. All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Thank you.
Thank you.
All right, 5B, seals, weights, and measures. Extend the contract to Northern Middlesex Council on Governments.
We've been contracting this out now for a number of years. That we used at one time, long ago, we had our own sealer, and when we didn't, the state would have to step in and do the work. I asked the surrounding communities, what do you do? Found out that the regional planning agency that is based in Lowell, the Northern Middlesex Council of Governments, provides the service for many of their member communities, and they were happy to let Littleton, even though we're not in their district, to jump on board. There's an increase in the value of the contract from $4,500 to $6,000, which is covered by the fees that get raised, but it does reflect the increased workload that they're experiencing as we add more businesses that need weights and measures to be officially certified.
Board members, Chuck?
No, I think with the addition of businesses coming to town, it makes sense that the license fees or the certification fees will go up, so.
TJ?
I noticed that in the memo from the executive director of the Council of Governments, where we're now doing more than Drake it, and she used that as comparison, and the current amount is $4,500 going up to $6,000, so a 33% increase. So I guess the real question is, has the number of devices gone up 33%? Or the actual time spent gone up 33%? Remember, perhaps could have been a little bit more comprehensive in outlining that, rather than comparing us to Drake it, which is nice, but what does it do for us as far as trying to make a decision?
Do we know what the increase has been by any chance? What the devices?
I mean, I have no problem paying for more,
Yeah.
receiving more, that's not the issue, it's just,
That's
the methodology here is flawed.
208 devices compared to what was the previous number?
Yeah, I'd have to look, we got a similar report a year ago, and I would have to check that to see what the increase is, but,
There's a lot of scales in market basket.
yeah.
It's certainly not a lot of money compared to the overall budget of the town, but I'd like folks that are asking us for money to do their homework just a little bit more rigorously before asking us for more money. And at that, I'd ask that you defer this until the executive director of the Middlesex Council of Governments can provide us that information.
When's our contract expire?
June 30, I
That's a surprise.
would not want to be without a sealer for the
Well,
first
it's an amount not to
2
exceed.
weeks. Yeah,
So I'm okay based on that.
yeah.
And then
We
can-
we'll certainly get the data, because while didn't articulate the case well, the case she was making is that the current $4,500 doesn't cover what their expenses are this year, and that, even for this year. But I'll get some further data about that.
Since it's not to exceed, I'm happy to go forward at this point.
Selectman Knox. I guess my only question would be if the fees pay for it?
Yes,
Okay.
completely, yeah.
All right, very good. I'd look for a motion.
Move that the Board of Selectmen vote to authorize execution of an amendment to the contract with Northern Middlesex Council of Governments, NMCOG, for sealer of weights and measures services for the town of Littleton in an amount not to exceed $6,000 for fiscal year 2016.
Second.
Been moved and seconded. All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Thank you.
Thank you.
All right, 5C, Bennett Orchard, Oak Hill Road, lots 6 and 7. Right of first refusal for Chapter 61A. We have a bona fide purchase and sale agreement for
For 2 lots.
2 lots, one for $304,000, the other for $316,000. Right, am I right?
No, it's,
No, 330 total.
yeah, 330 total for 2 acres, 2.04 acres. These are this is the third time the board has received a request under 61A for lots in the subdivision. You know, on the previous 2 occasions, it was also 2 lots which were being sold, and the notice was being given. And in both cases, it was about 2 acres, and it was a similar amount. 3 years ago, it was 2.05 acres for $304,000. 2 years ago, it was 2.02 acres for $316,000. This year, it's 2.04 acres for $330,000. Town council did review this, since he's been reviewing whether notices satisfy 61A or not. This notice does. And so the 120-day time clock is triggered in this case. Typically, though, the reason that the seller's attorney asks for the waiver is so that they don't so that they can close on the property without waiting for the 120 days to expire. So that's the reason why there's a request.
And if I remember correctly, when some of these other lots came up last year, I asked the Conservation Commission if they were connected to one of our paths, and they had no issues with it, so.
There were no issues and with respect to exercising the town's right of first refusal, that requires a town meeting vote taken within your 120-day window. And even if we were conveniently close to a town meeting, that the analysis that's been done in the past on these subdivision lots was spending $330,000 of the town's money to buy 2 acres was not a high priority for acquisition, that there were other higher priorities with the town's limited funds. And so on that basis, the board could vote to waive the town's right of first refusal.
Board members, Mr. Knox, questions,
No,
concerns?
I don't have a problem with the 2 lots actually come off of Oak Hill Road anyway, that they're not part of the other development that they're talking about, so. And we've granted it in the past, so.
Agree.
Mr. Revelle?
I'd only ask that maybe next time, and given what you just said about the history of previous lots and the CPC not having an issue, should we consider CPC weighing in on these?
The Conservation Commission? Yes.
I'm sorry.
We could have them go before them, but I don't see.
Oh, I wouldn't ask that they go before them, just that there's an awareness of it.
Opinion.
And
an opinion.
maybe an opinion is a good way to say it,
We
yeah.
could do that, send it out. I mean, it's,
Yeah,
they've acted on it before, and.
Yeah, the notice was delivered to
Actually, it
the,
was.
in addition to Selectmen, it also
And they came
went
back with
to
nothing.
Planning Board, Conservation, Assessors,
So they have plenty of opportunity to comment.
yeah.
Good, thank you.
Chuck?
I'm good, thank you.
All right, I look for a motion.
Move that the Board of Selectmen vote not to exercise the town's right of first refusal under Mass General Law, Chapter 61A, subsection 14, to acquire lots 6 and 7 as shown on the definitive subdivision plan for Bennett Orchard, Oak Hill Road, and Whitcomb Ave, and Sanderson Road, totaling 2.04 acres for a bona fide offer of $330,000.
Second.
Moved and seconded, all those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Thank you. All right, 5D, Animal Control Officer Services, intermunicipal agreement with the town of Boxborough. Chief?
Good evening.
Hello.
As everyone knows, I'll fill you in a real quick, by law, we're required to have animal control in the community. We were without until last year when we contracted with the town of Boxborough for $12,000. I kind of inherited animal control. Animal control actually was under the Board of Health at one point, and I kind of inherited it. However, it's not a budget line item currently within my budget. So you did see, at the end of my letter, I do recommend that this be transferred into, under my purview completely, so that I can budget and present it in the budget realm, so we're not facing what we're facing tonight. The town of Boxborough, in conversation with them, they totally underestimated what their, what the workload would be over here at $12,000. They pay the other $40-some-odd thousand to support animal control. They house all the animals over there. They pick all the animals up. They do any of the calls that we request. I had talked to Bonnie Holston about obviously this. We're not sure at this point in time whether the fees collected for the dog license and things like this will cover the $17,000 fee for this service. However, we are required to have it. There is a 60-day opt-out by either board, so I'm asking the board at this point to go on. We pay them on a monthly basis, as it is under their contract, and at least give us some time. It'll be in my long-range plan also, and hopefully I can get the board also to transfer it completely into my purview so that it gets into the budget process. Be quite frank with you, kind of slipped through the cracks a little bit because it's not, it's not truly anyone's responsibility as of this time, but I'm certainly willing to take it on because the department handles the small percentage that for some reason animal control doesn't come out to. And we also have to expand this a little bit because currently animal control only covers domestic animals. But as you know, and we're seeing more and more calls for non-domestic animals with the rise of bobcats and coyotes and other things. We're receiving calls, on a weekly basis for this type of service.
I just have one question, Bonnie. How is this funded as far as the appropriation?
Currently, there are no funds appropriated to support this. There's a revolving account that's authorized by town meeting that takes the dog licensing
Yep.
fees into an account. It generates about $12,000 a year, and it's used to pay the current contract. We're not sure that the fees will be coming in enough to support a $17,000 contract, but in talking with the chief, we figured that the best option was having this month-to-month, payment system in place. If I need to go to the fall town meeting to do a cleanup or transfer between line items to close the $5,000 gap, we can do that. But he's going to also look at the operation as a whole in the next budget cycle to see if we can.
We're going to look at what it would cost us to build a kennel facility here, and possibly, employ someone on a part-time basis from the community, whether that's a better option or not. Currently, we have no housing facilities, for any of the animals, so that's part of the problem. So I have to do some quick estimates on, what it would cost and where a facility like that would go. I have property, obviously, out behind the station that it could go at. However, we'll have to vet some of that with the neighbors, because like anything else, it's not like we have a lot of dogs stored all the time, but when you do, they tend to sometimes be a little on the noisy side.
The other thing to note is this pricing at $17,000 is almost exactly the quote that Westford provided a year ago for the same service. So I think they probably did underestimate what they were getting into.
Sure, go ahead.
Why do you think that it was underestimated? Is it kind of number of incidents or like the effort and logistical effort to come out here or combination?
First year.
First time they'd
First time
ever
First
done
year.
it.
We weren't joined before, and nobody really knew what they were going into. We're currently talking to a Stowe in Berlin to also come in and try and even out the cost for all three towns. So that may be something, that next year is my recommendation. But right now, my recommendation is to go forward with the contract as is. We'll work on it. Hopefully, if she gets over and does a little bit more enforcement also, because we do know, talking to Diane, that the licensings of dogs have dropped way down because of, lack of enforcement for the years prior to last year. It increased with some enforcement last year, and she's going to increase enforcement this year. So we're hoping we can get some of that, recoup as much money as we can.
Any other questions?
Under animal control, if you were talking about domestic animals, when a phone call comes in now for a coyote or a bobcat, does animal control that we're paying through Boschwood, do they handle it, or does your department handle it?
Right now, right now, the department itself typically handles the non-domestic animals. This is a problem. These people are great. They come out for struck deer, struck coyotes, struck anything. So they actually go above and beyond what their contract really calls for them to assist in. But the majority of any of the non-domestic animals falls on the department at this point.
So there's a good chance that the $17,000 would end up being the most economical way to go instead of building it. I'd like to look into it, but I can't imagine the town getting away with employing somebody and building a kennel and.
Quite possible. Yes.
So are you all set?
Yeah, thank you.
So the environmental police, do you engage them at all for non-domestic animals? No?
After 7 o'clock at night, forget it.
Okay.
So typically, they do come out occasionally, if it's one of the larger non-domestic, struck moose, struck deer, no, we notify them, and we actually have people on call that will come and pick the deer up. Sometimes the coyote stays off the side of the road till the next day when the highway department, a mass highway, comes and gets it, or, sometimes, we have to deal with whatever the situation is. When we've had the bears up, at the bird feeders and things like that, we, go up and, take care of that problem.
Okay. TJ?
In the intermunicipal agreement, number 9 and number 10 kind of confused me a little bit. Fees, licensing, and fines. Number 9 says the dog owner shall be responsible for paying the following fees directly to Boxborough, unless the $10 dog pickup, $50 picked up not displaying a valid license, and $40 kenneling per day. And then number 10 says dog owner shall be responsible for paying licensing and fines directly to Littleton. So where are they paying them?
Right, the licensing comes from us.
Right, that's
And any tickets that she writes.
Fines associated with
fines
not being
associated with
licensed?
it, Right, correct.
Okay.
Or any, loose dog, things like that, those fines come back directly to Littleton.
Okay.
Their fees are, if they have to come pick up a dog, it's $10. The $50 for the dog not pick up, not displaying a valid license, that stays with them.
Okay.
And then the $40 dog kenneling per day is what Boxborough bills for.
Aside from the administrative nightmare that it may create, is there an opportunity for us to be the collector of those first 3 under 9A, B, and C? And is there an opportunity for those fees to be increased to try to offset the $5,000 increase that we will be incurring?
I think Boxborough is using these fees to offset their portion of the salary and expenses for the animal control officer.
Right, so we can pay them from Littleton to them, but we'll collect $15 and.
Certainly a discussion item we can have to
I don't know
try
what
and.
kind of numbers we're talking about,
To look at
184.
modify things, certainly we can talk to them about that. But, I think right now, it is what it is.
I mean, the administrative thing would be the bugaboo there, but I just thought there might be an opportunity for us to build something into it, try to offset it.
Increase the fines is what he's saying.
Get a cut, right?
Pretty much. Don't do the crime if you can't do the time, right? We should get a little piece of the pot.
We like it when you do the time.
Yeah, Jimmy's, no job security.
Is he Fort Tucker behind bars?
No, he's licensed. Any other questions? I look
Tucker,
for,
my son Tucker or his dog's Tucker?
my dog Tucker.
Move that the Board of Selectmen vote pursuant to Mass General Law, Chapter 40, subsection 4A, to authorize execution of an intermunicipal agreement with the town of Boxborough for the provision by Boxborough of animal control officer services for Littleton with a term from July 1st, 2015 to June 30th, 2016, at a cost of $17,000.
Second.
Moved and seconded, all those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Thank you.
Thank you.
Thanks, Chief. All right, 5E, the Open Space and Recreation Plan, an update on MAPC Technical Assistant Project that was last week. Mr.
Right,
Bergen.
last Wednesday night, and I just want to include in the record of this meeting, the copy of the presentation that the MAPC, Metropolitan Area Planning Council planners gave, and as well as some meeting notes, and also we have online now on demand the 2-hour program that LCTV did of that evening. We are still accepting comments. Folks can email me. I will have my email addresses on the website, and I'll have it linked to the summary and other information. Again, we had by our standards for having forums like this, it was a good turnout. There were a lot of folks who were there, but as has been said, there are a lot of folks who weren't there as well. And so we would want to have the opportunity continuing for any comments that folks have about recreation needs, open space needs. The MAPC planners will be holding a second public forum, which we're tentatively looking at perhaps for early August. Our hope is to be able to complete this project by the end of the summer, to be able to get the open space and recreation plan update submitted to the state. It requires state action. So we're still working on what those tentative dates are, but I did want to just have the information as part of the update for this meeting. It is available online. We are still looking for folks to be able to provide us input, and hopefully we will have a good plan to submit by the end of the summer.
All right, board members, Mr. Knox, I know you were there.
Yeah, just a couple of things. The MAPC did have a couple of charts, and it's in this packet that we have here. One of them showed a survey that was done, and I give the Open Space and Recreation Committee all the credit in the world for trying to get this done. They put it into the light and water bills and had it online, and it's a little bit misleading because there's only, out of a town of 9,000 people, there's only 278 people who replied to it, so you have a very, very small amount of replies, so it doesn't necessarily reflect what recreation needs actually are. And the other one was like the demographic information as far as the projected population in town. If you go by what the MAPC is saying, that in 2030, they only project us at 9,983 people. We're at 9.2 now, or close to that, I think, in that area. And if you just look at all the things that could possibly be happening in town, not even counting Great Road, which is in the process, that I think one of their points was that we might not need certain, I think that's what they might have been driving at the very beginning, the things that we're going to level off, and that, I don't see that happening. I see a lot more kids coming to town, a lot more fields being required, and it's not going to be something that's just going to go away, and we do have to try to solve some problems.
Selectman Heber.
Just a couple of quick comments from my side. I'd agree with what Selectman Knox just said, and I think you even made a comment during the meeting about, interesting about the weight on the seniors and how they're expected to grow, but so little on the younger age, and I'm interested in that too, just because I think this is a pivotal time, and I think we're trying to get the funnel of the younger folks in, so I don't know, something to think about. So just maybe two quick questions for you, Keith. The minutes, or like the beginning, the notes that kind of
Yes.
summarize what the feedback was, it's really beautifully worded. I have some specific points that I wanted to capture on my feedback in particular about the
Sure.
weight. Who can I reach out to make sure that that is captured?
You can start with me, and I'll refer them to Cynthia Wall, who's maintaining the, at MAPC, who's maintaining the follow-up.
Perfect.
Sure.
And similar question for thoughts on the next session, and really well done. I just have some ideas that might help make the next one a little bit even better. Go through you again.
Sure, and I'd be glad to set up we had a planning conference call to help set up that first meeting, and be happy to do that again.
That'd be
Yeah.
great, because I came away with, it was interesting, I bumped into a few people after the meeting, people I didn't know, and got some thoughts and questions, and I had some ideas that might help, so, okay, cool, thanks.
Great, thank you.
You bet.
PJ.
No, because we've been working with MAPC also for the housing production plan, as we know. And the statistics, I think, are pretty similar. They modified them perhaps, but not by much, as I recall at least. So what it actually reflects is not so much a growth in population in the town, at least their projections. It reflects an aging population in the town. So that 1 to 4, where it shows a negative number over the next 15 years, is just because they grew out of 1 to 4. And that's have been replaced by more 1 to 4 year group or age children. And this is also something that we're working with the Master Plan Update Steering Committee, and work with MAPC also. And we've asked them some more information on demographic information as we work forward with them also, to get a bit more fidelity on this. As we do these various plans, and then the update or the master plan itself, having the best information possible. Although if we go back to the 2002 plan and see the projections from it to roughly 10 years later, 2012, the numbers didn't match. They woefully overprojected, actually, as to what the growth was going to be at that point. So it's a shifting game for sure, and demographers get paid.
They didn't
$1
count on
million.
that Great Recession. It really slowed us up in the last decade, so we're only catching up now.
Anything else, PJ?
No, thanks.
Chuck?
I agree with what everybody said, but I'm thinking that, I love the idea of spitballing. I think the time that it occurred was a tough time, because last Wednesday was there's a lot going on in the schools. There's all kinds of playoffs going on for the high school sports, for the youth sports. So I think a lot of parents weren't able to get there. So I appreciate what you're saying, Joe, as far as the people that are advocating for more fields or turf fields, whatever. I think it was just a matter of people just couldn't get there. It was just a tough night.
To jump on that too, I understand what you're saying, because I was on the softball field and had to leave practice early to try to get to that meeting, so.
Yeah. So it's just, so maybe, I'll reach out to the folks in Littleton, Open Space and Recreation Area Group and Park and Rec and try to collaborate and find, there's only a few times during the year when there's like a lull in sports, and one of those times is during the summer, so that's also a tough time to get people there. But I love the idea of all the ideas, outside the box, thinking of different locations to add fields, back here or wherever. But if we are adding grass fields, that's adding work to the DPW. And the resources are very limited there now. There's, as a pretty active participant in the board for baseball and softball, we don't always get the fields prepared the way that we need them prepared for games and whatnot. And actually, my son had a lacrosse game last Sunday, and the field hadn't been cut, hadn't been striped. Weather plays a role in that, so it's very limited resources. So if we're adding grass fields, there's additional problems that come with that. So turf fields, you get a lot of return as far as the stripes are down there. You don't have to worry about Sean and his crew coming out and striping the fields. That doesn't have to be cut. There is some maintenance that has to happen, but there's definitely a balance there. So I love the idea that people are thinking of creative ways to add fields, but even in the Cooper proposal, that is not a bona fide purchase and sale, but we've seen some of the plans. They propose a lacrosse field, which is fantastic. I'm thinking if the town could just get a lacrosse field, if that project were to move forward. But with that, Jim Clyde assumes the responsibility of maintaining that field for us. So just need to make sure we're cognizant and taking a look at that and, adding that in.
He always puts out there like 60 acres he has to take care of. Somewhere around.
Yeah, I'm sure
As
it's at
far
least
as
that.
fields, so.
Yeah,
It's a lot.
there's a lot of striping. He spreads a lot of paint.
Yeah, it's a lot.
I think that was all I had for notes.
Thank you. Again, I wasn't able to attend last meeting. I did reach out to some folks that were there, and they felt that the process, start of the process was pretty good, but I think I heard what Chuck was saying 2 or 3 times, just bad timing.
Yeah.
There's a lot going on with the end of school and all that stuff too, so look forward to the next meeting. All right, so tonight,
Mr. Chairman, can I
yes,
just-
sir.
Mr. Watson, are you here for the Bennett?
Yes.
We did it ahead of time, and you can,
It's all good. We're all set.
All right.
so you don't sit here and wait for it to come up.
I'll make him sit.
I want to stay, but I can't.
Yeah.
He'll take yes for an answer.
See you, Rich.
All right, so minutes approval?
Just totally forgot to include them. I'm sorry. It was the
Nope.
first day back from vacation.
Not a problem. Happens all the time.
Slacker.
I know that feeling. Coming back from vacation.
Yes, you do.
Coming back from vacation, sure is. So tonight we're going into executive session. There are 3 items that we're going to be going to executive session for. I will ask that a motion be read for each. The first would be collective bargaining strategy under Mass General Law, Chapter 30A, subsection 21A3. Then we have approval of police policies and procedures. And then we have the development of police policies and procedures. I'd look for a motion.
Move that the Board of Selectmen vote pursuant to Mass General Law, Chapter 30A, subsection 21A, Clause 3, to go into executive session to discuss strategy with respect to collective bargaining with the town's unions, since an open meeting may have a detrimental effect on the bargaining position of the board, and not to convene an open session thereafter.
Second.
It's been seconded. Mr. Knox?
Aye.
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 Let him say your name. He's supposed to say your name. It's a roll call.
Well,
You're out of order.
everybody said aye before I can say it.
She could
All right, so we'll look for the second motion.
Move that the Board of Selectmen vote pursuant to Mass General Law, Chapter 30A, subsection 21A4, to convene an executive session to discuss the deployment of security personnel, devices, and strategies, and not to convene an open session thereafter.
Mr. Knox?
Second.
Aye.
Ms. Hebert?
Aye.
Mr. Avella?
Aye.
Mr. DeCos?
Aye.
Mr. Carroll, aye. The last one.
What am I missing?
7B2.
Want me to do it?
I just found that
Take a
one.
check.
Move that the Board of Selectmen vote pursuant to Mass General Law, Chapter 30A, subsection 21A4, to convene an executive session to discuss the deployment of security personnel devices and strategies, and not to convene an open session thereafter.
Second.
Brett second, Mr. Knox.
Aye.
Ms. Hebert.
Aye.
Mr. Avella.
Aye.
Mr. Lukos.
Aye.
Mr. Carroll, aye. We are now in executive session.
The guy down the end there.
Yeah, shut the TV off.
Yes, we
He's
are.
falling out of the job already.
Talk about slacking. I mean, come on. You're not even coming back from vacation.
And it didn't even work. He's still on TV now. There we go. Kirby was sleeping.